maybe just tell us a little bit about how you met Ed and what the inspiration was for the Perfect project, how that came to be.
I mean, meeting Ed, that was, I'm trying to think of the exact year. I think it must be 2010. Essentially, I was working with a guy called Patrick McLean, and we were putting on these nights called Shift and Shuffle together.
One that I played many times.
You played many times. You were one of my, you and Ed were two of my reliable bookings, in the fact that I knew that if I booked Ed, there'd be some sort of crowd there, and I'd sell a few tickets and we'd get a good vibe going. You were the same, if Daniel Spoerer and the Broken Record Project, you'd promote it properly, you'd actually tell people about it, and you wouldn't just turn up and play and take the free drinks and bugger off. He used to come and play, and I used to love booking him because he was playing these incredible songs, which have now become, global hits. But I was hearing them as him and his very basic little 2-pedal looper that he used to use. And it was right at the beginning of what he was doing. He'd just moved to London when I met him. In the fact, this guy Patrick went, "Tim, you've got to come meet this kid. He wants to meet you. He wants to jam with you. You've got to come do this gig tonight." And I'd had a terrible day at school. I cannot remember what had gone wrong. All my lessons had gone wrong. Maybe I wasn't ready. Maybe I was hungover. I have no idea. But Patrick was literally like, "You have to come." And I was like, "Nah, not tonight. Definitely not. Can't be doing tonight. I'm not gigging tonight." He's like, "You have to come. You do. You have to. You have to. I'll stop working with you if you don't." And I was just like, "Oh God," So he genuinely persuaded me to come out, and I put my djembe on my back, and I really begrudgingly got on the tube. Got to this place called the Ivy House, which was in Holborn. It's now a chimney, unfortunately. It was this brilliant venue. I think I booked Ed for my first gig there. This is Patrick sort of setting up, saying, "You've got to come. You've got to come." And he pushed me directly into Ed. I remember bumping into him, and Ed looked at me and went, "Oh, you're the bongo guy." And I was like, "It's a djembe, mate. It's a djembe." I said, "No, it's a djembe." And he's like, "Oh, I'm just about to go on. Do you want to do No Diggity No Doubt by Blackstreet with me?" And I was just like, "I know every harmony, mate. I play this already, So his version kind of crossed with my band at the time, which was called Grey Wings. And our sort of two versions of me on the drum and him on the guitar. I just remember the whole place just absolutely going wild for it. I remember looking over at Ed and being like, "Oh, right." And then on that same night, we met this fantastic musician called Cal Lavelle. We met Daryl Snow, who Ed ended up being his best man, and I ended up being his usher. So it was this really fateful night. And then we just, he then, I don't think it was that night, but it was then like, "Yeah, I've got nowhere to stay." And I was just like, "Really? You literally not staying anywhere?" He's like, "No, I'm going to be the first homeless millionaire," he used to say. And he's like, what was he, 18 at this point? 19? I think he was 18 when I met him. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to be the first homeless millionaire." I was like, "Don't be stupid, Ed. Get yourself a house, do all this, And he bloody was, He ended up being the first homeless millionaire. So good on him. So my big lockdown project, and it's now finally finished. It was a huge task to put this all together, but I guess the clip that we're going to see in a second is 125 screens.
Wow.
Of all of these children from all around the Pegasus Academy Trust, their parents. I got a load of staff members involved. I got people like yourself involved as well. I just kind of opened it up to my network of people in teaching and in music and said, "Look, Ed has sent me this video after the Zoom call of him playing Perfect. And he said it's okay for me to start doing the multi-screen." And at this stage, I hadn't even done a multi-screen video. So Perfect was the inspiration in the fact that I had the video for Ed. So I knew I could say, "Want to be in a video with Ed? Just send me in this video." So I put together a backing track.
And this is also, it's not just you guys doing a cover to an acoustic version. It's an exclusive version that he recorded for you. The project. Yeah.
He essentially, the little backing track which I created, and the first thing that I sent to him was his track. I just downloaded it from iTunes. I then put it into Logic, put it down a semitone, so it all sounds like this. Funny voice.
And just explain quickly what the reasoning is behind that, lowering it by one.
Oh, well, it's essentially in G sharp, the one that's been released to the world on. It wasn't Plus. It was Multiply. No, it wasn't Multiply. It was Divide that Perfect was on.
Right.
So Divide is in G sharp, but I knew that I was never going to be able to teach my beginner keyboardists and my beginner, ukulele. Can you imagine, right, I'm going to send out a capo to every single one of the ukulele players. Yeah. It's not going to work, So I just said, "Right, can you shift it down to G?" And he's like, "Not a problem, because it's much easier to play on the guitar anyway. You don't need a capo on it. You just play G." And from what he taught the kids, I then said, right, well, I'll send you the tuned down version. If you do it along to your own track to that beat, that was the key. I was finding a lot of kids were coming in on "I found a love" rather than "I found a love." So that took, honestly, hours to build the choir. If you look in the original project, the choir is a lot more smaller screens, because that was my first attempt at multi-screening. Putting that together itself probably took about a month. I say it where genuinely I got about halfway through that project and I realized I was past the point of no return. I was going to have to finish this thing. This is an epic. And to be honest, I'm so glad I started it though, because it really gave me a proper focus during a time which I can imagine a lot of people, and from what I know, a lot of people have found just completely, where they've just sort of lost any type of enthusiasm, they've lost any type of drive. You know, so many people who've just ended up being put on furlough. I do feel so fortunate that I have never had that. You know, at the beginning, I was just told to do something. So I just told my staff to do something. That's all I could do. And then I had a real focus of all the online lessons. But this has always been that extracurricular, you know, what's next? Who's going to send a video in? You know, how far through am I in this? And it was quite a moment when I pressed bounce for the last time.
Well, I think it sounds great, and I think we should have a listen to it.
I was receiving videos. I set a deadline saying I'm not going to accept videos from this point. I was receiving videos 5 days after I set that deadline. So I was really desperately, it was this hugely complicated moving musical jigsaw puzzle that I had to put together.